How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, where we can kind of breathe. The terrorist threat and the beta invasion was seemingly stopped. We prevented the red shift from going off just barely, only possibly leading to the broken mind and body of Yuuya. Kuriska possibly, at least partially, but she at least was coherent at the end, where Yuuya was not. And what's interesting is I kind of assumed from the beginning that it was Kuriska who was the more bloodthirsty and Yuuya that was kind of like the more balanced one, but it seems like it's actually reversed. I think Yuuya is kind of like the main power behind like the Scarlet Twins, because remember, Kuriska could fly a TSF perfectly fine, but she was pretty much just on par with the rest of us. Yuuya, when she's flying in the Terminator by herself, she managed to get away from and fight off a lot of TSFs on her own. Like I think in odds that kind of put what we were going through to shame. Like she was facing similar threats to us, but by herself. And so again, I think Yuuya is actually the true like ace, like true ace pilot. But she functioned much better in tandem. And I also think what happens. So here's kind of like my running theory here. Yuuya also is the bloodthirsty one when she gets like into her like hypnotic suggestion state. For whatever reason, I think that she has like the true like destructive nature that they kind of unlocked in her or programmed into her or whatever. And I almost think Kuriska is not really like a co-pilot as much as an extension, because it seemed Kuriska was kind of like suppressed and she was able to kind of come out a little bit, but it was something she had to fight for. And while she did it, the TSF kind of wasn't moving. And then when it moved again, she locked herself down again. And so I'm almost thinking that it's very similar to like when you have a computer that has two graphics cards in it. You can run them as tandem with the proper back programming, where they stop really working as like two separate units, but they end up just kind of becoming like a shared unit where they have to have a lot of RAM and like a powerful motherboard and processor to be able to kind of marry the two. But essentially they work them in tandem, splitting certain roles, but like functioning together almost as one. So I always wonder if that's what Kuriska is. What if Kuriska is almost like an extension brain and body? And Yuuya essentially is the one in full control, but with Kuriska as like almost a borrowed second shell, which is really interesting and really scary at the same time, especially when we saw how just absolutely bloodthirsty and like maniacal laughter and everything. I'm wondering if that's more of the Yuuya side of things than anything else. Like, it's really shocking to think of that, but it also kind of would make sense. And I'm curious to see if they're going to actually explore that, or if that's something that's like going to be left as a mystery. But regardless of that, everything else, we're going to see today's Fallout Day, essentially. We're going to be seeing what happened, who lived, who maybe didn't. I mean, there's going to be a lot of dead people, I think, with all the beta running amok. Yeah, so we kind of get to see what we were able to save. And yeah. Regardless, I don't think things can keep on as they were. I imagine after this, things are going to get pretty bleak, because the status quo is officially shattered, and I don't think it's coming back. So, let's see how things played out, and yeah, let's jump into it. Convey my thanks to Boning. Your company went above and beyond for the sake of Project Prominence.
いえいえ、当然のことです。我が社と大佐の計画は今や運命共同体。それに今回のことで戦術機の有効性を世界に十分アピールできました。
He seems too happy to be looking at the positive side of a very dark cloud. Like he's seeing a silver lining on a freaking twister. Like, sure, buddy. I mean, you can cope all you want, and I'm sure you managed to live, and Project Prominence is going to be okay, so I'm sure you're pleased, but at the same time, like, come on, man, have a soul.
はい。
No,
貴様の尽力にも感謝する。フェニーチェ、今しばらく頼んだぞ。
現在までの死傷者数は、民間人も含めまして、2312名。この数字はまだ増えるということです。
God, that's horrifying. Like, that's just a number on a screen, but like as an American, that's pretty shocking. That for reference's sake, that's pretty close to the number of casualties of September 11th attacks. And they're not even done counting. That was an international disaster. That was a national horrific act and traumatic event. And so something like that on a civilian, well, not just civilians, but it's like civilians and like military personnel included, and probably more. Like, it doesn't seem that much when you consider the population, but still, like, that's a lot.
語弊があるかもしれませんが、ベータがリルフォートを通過した割に被害は最小限だったかと思われます。ヨーロッパ戦線における同規模都市の被害状況と比較すれば、まさに奇跡的です。
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's priority based. In Europe, when those beta were invading those cities, they were in harvest mode. They were gathering resources, stamping out resistance. It was just about purge. Purge and cleanse. Purge and cleanse. But here, they were in their homing instinct. They would fight and devour, probably to sustain themselves and to provide safety. But ultimately, they didn't care. They weren't homing in on anything other than the most immediate of threats. So, yeah.
ヨーロッパか。あの地獄と比べればマシだから喜べ。そう言いたいのかね。
アラスカに住むすべての人間が一瞬で死滅する一歩手前まで行ったのです。この結果は極小と言い換えても良いかと。
I mean, she's right. I think she's got the proper attitude. Like, we should be absolutely not celebrating, but we should be in our hearts like flabbergasted, probably is the right word, that we managed to get through this with so few lost. Considering, like, even if Redshift hadn't gone off, the way things were going, it was looking much worse. Even if the American initial plan had worked, where they just bombed the crap out of the base and just killed everything, that was the initial safety plan. So if you really think about it, we did get off lightly. That's terrifying, though, because that's still like, it's so far from light. But considering the scale of what we were dealing with, it was.
コーヒーを入れてくれたまえ。二人分だ。
はい。総合通信センターから連絡です。あと10分ほどで到着するとのことです。まだ全状況の把握すら終えていないっていうのに、はた迷惑な方。
Who on earth could this be? Yoroi.
今度はまともな方であってほしいと願っていたのですが、これでは先が思いやられます。どうぞ。
Oh, our boss.
人を足ざまに言うのはあまり感心しないな。まだ会ったこともないのであればなおさらだ。
私はただ、本音をおっしゃれない、気の毒などなたかの気持ちを代弁して差し上げているだけですわ。
Ah, that's a clever answer to that. He's saying, like, hey, you shouldn't be talking bad about people, especially higher ups, especially when you've never actually met them. And she's saying, look, some people can't say this. I'm just relieving the tension. She's essentially saying what she thinks he's thinking, but can't say because he's in a position of authority and literally can't even be, like he could get in big trouble for even implying that he thinks that. She's just kind of being an outlet for him in her own way. And if she's right, which I think she is, it just shows how well they know each other.
そうか。いい香りだ。
はい。
この10分は、こいつのおかげで実に貴重な休息になりそうだ。
ところで、新しい基地司令はイギリス出身と伺っていますが、どのような方なのでしょう。資料だけではわからないことが多すぎて。
Base commander. So he's not. Hartwig isn't. I thought he might be promoted.
私もよくは知らん。経歴から言えばロンドンで一度や二度会っていてもおかしくはないが。
ブレストン准将は帰国なさるのですよね。
中央でゆっくり傷を癒してもらうとしよう。重傷とのことだが、この惨状を目の当たりにせずにいられるのは、ある意味幸いなことだよ。
He's lucky he lived, honestly. I think I think the plan to have to have command switch over to Hartwick and then to have Hartwick be detained needed the original commander to live, but the fact that he managed to survive is still pretty amazing to me.
そうですね。
各国実験部隊の被害は予想以上だ。それぞれの政府が国連軍の責任を厳しく追及してくるのは間違いなかろう。
Right. For higher-ups and for bureaucrats and for the politics, this disaster is gonna suck. Once this fired off, there was no happy ending to this. Like, people are gonna lose their jobs, people are going to lose their positions, people's entire career trajectories are gonna be forever altered, and that's if they survived. It's kind of sucky that, like, a really terrible situation like this can still just get worse for you for surviving, but, I mean, anyone who wasn't here is gonna want to point fingers at somebody.
それにしても、本当に出迎えの手配をしなくてよかったのでしょうか。
先方も気を使ってくれたのだろう。そのような虚礼に割く余裕が今のユーコンにないことぐらい分かっているはずだ。イギリス人。
でしたら、もっと気を使って、もう2、3日後にいらしてくれればいいのに。
それは国連軍の都合だろう。米ソをまたぐ北米最大の国連軍基地がテロで大損害を受けたのだ。司令官の不在は1時間でも短くしたいはずだろう。
Yes, and actually, now that I think about it, I thought Hartwick would be good to promote, and maybe he will in the future, but it actually is more prudent for them to get an outsider, because anyone who was on the base is going to be tainted with these events, and from the outside, they might seem culpable. They might seem like, how could you have let this happen? Like, why are you in charge of this base when you allowed this horrific act to happen? Well, we lost we potentially lost soldiers, pilots, our TSFs, like people are going to be upset. So having an outsider come in saying like, look, I'm here, I'm cleaning things up, we're going to get this right, will actually help cool some heads.
それはその通りですが。
Here he is.
お見えになったようです。
鈴を外せただけでよしとするか。
はい？
なんでもない。どれ、出迎えるとしよう。
The bell. I wonder what he means by the bell. Idle test flight field hangar, Yukon Army base.
結局は私が計画を放棄しなかったからこそ、このテロを鎮圧できたのだ。機関だけが。
No, you disobeyed a direct order, and if he hadn't been very lucky, they really could have got everything they needed from him. I'm pretty sure this chief is about to be permanently demoted.
ならばそう公言すればいいでしょう。祖国を救ったのは中央が策定した緊急マニュアルに従わなかった貴君の手柄であると。
私はしかし祖国のた
Thought
め
I heard something.
誤解していただいては困りますね。計画の資料を残したことがテロ鎮圧につながったわけではない。研究の成果を正しく運用したことがテロ鎮圧につながったのです。
Sandak counters saying, look, it was the implementation of this documentation that mattered. That's what saved us, not the actual information.
貴君は責任をすべて放棄し逃走したに過ぎない。しかも研究資料を持って。この背任がどれだけ重い罪か理解しているでしょうな。
At the very least, he's never going to be trusted with documentation like this again, and I still think he's going to be taking the, unfortunately, common, even today, accidentally tripped out a window path.
そんなつもりでは。
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief, but you absolutely did.
アメリカにでも亡命するおつもりでしたか？
Yeah. I mean, if you're scared for your life and you're worried that, like, you know so much that your life could be in danger, that's the only really other way out. You either stay loyal or you try and find the perfect moment with a offering to get out.
同志ベリャエフ。貴君は非常に難しい立場にいます。だが、貴君を保護したのが私の配下のものであったことに感謝した方がいい。私以外の人間は貴君の愚行を知らない。そして、私は貴君の研究が生んだ成果がいかに素晴らしいのかをよく知っている。
This is risky. I like the idea that he's seemingly like going to be leveraging a potential, like not wasting the the skill and talent of this individual, because he's obviously very, very talented and skilled, but I wouldn't trust him again. I couldn't. So I might have like a secret protocol that as soon as we if we have to give the order to destroy like research again, I think he's part of that order now.
私は貴君を死刑台に送ることも研究所に戻して差し上げることもできる。
Yeah.
どちらを選ぶかは貴君次第です。同志ベリャーエフ。
何が望みだ。何でもする。本当だ。嘘じゃない。
あの二人の状態は
これが報告書だ。
He is pissing himself right now.
ロゴフスキー大佐への報告は私からしておきます。より詳細な報告書を求められることになるでしょうから、抜かりなく準備をお願いします。貴君の研究には期待しています。くれぐれもあの二人の調整は慎重にお願いしますよ。あれは貴重なサンプルですので。
That was the most clinical, like, don't mess with them I've ever heard. Oh, Dad Sandek, you are interesting.
では、下がっていただいて結構です。
失礼いたします。今のはうちのチームが確保した男ですね。随分と怯えていましたが。
He was.
それでいいのだ。さて、よく来てくれた同志ゼルノフ。総長への昇進おめでと
う。Nice.
大位こそ、ご昇進おめでとうございます。いろいろと口添えいただいたようで、ありがとうございます。
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, it was because of their efforts that they all lived, including all of Russia. Because, like, on the UN side, they're all going to get smashed down by all the outsiders and, like, everything. It's going to be really rough being in the UN right now. But for Russia, they're essentially heroes. They're probably still upset that this even happened. But given the stakes, they'll take what they can get.
当然だな。貴様の働きが正当に評価されたというだけの話だ。
そうは言いますが、テロ鎮圧の宣言が出る前の昇進ですからね。ついでにジェブロフスキー少尉の件についても感謝していますよ。
Oh, right. The lieutenant that wanted to cut and run and wasn't willing to put his life on the line.
スペツナズの幹部は実に協力的だった。貴様のような有能なものを無能の下で腐らせるわけにはいかないと理解してくれたのだ。ジェブロフスキー少尉にはどこか遠くで幸せになってもらおう。
Oh boy.
そう願っています。ところで、あれが噂の新型ですか。
Oh.
実機を拝むのは初めてですが。
Are they remaking the
えらい凶悪な
Terminator?
面構えですな。
Interesting. They've been keeping this up their sleeve. Kind of makes sense though. With all the damage that happened in the last one, kind of makes sense for them to maybe jump up to their upgrade.
私の指揮下で運用され
Oh, look at that thing.
先ほど搬入されたばかりでね。今は調整中だ。
Interesting. Okay, so like the one on the left looks like the original model. The one on the right looks like the new one. But here's the thing. Look at the profile of the legs. Like the chest piece is the same, and the arms look relatively similar. But look at the blade wings, the head fin, and the legs. They look more like a Takafakazuchi, don't they? Like I'm not going crazy, right? Like I love the Takafakazuchi. I feel like I see it everywhere, but like that looks distinctly like it. And it also makes me wonder, remember when Sandek was really making a hard pitch before all this started about a potential like alliance and more open coordination between Japan and Russia? I wonder if that was part of the deal. I wonder if they got some... What if they're doing a similar deal with Japan that America's trying to do, where they're trying to make a hybrid, but with America and with the Project Prominence is kind of trying to upgrade the Shiranui, which is, you know, a mainline combat model, and Russia instead is trying to take their, like, one-man army and give it the TSF equivalent upgrade to make it a Takamakazuchi Terminator. If I'm right on that, that's horrifying and really cool.
何もこんな時に搬入しなくてもね。 まともな整備ができるかも怪しいでしょうに。
手厳しいな。あれは私が呼び寄せたのだ。多めに見てもらえると助かる。
こいつはいけねえ。口が過ぎましたな。しかし、大尉のせっかちは相変わらずですか。ですが、そのせっかちさに期待しています。早く偉くなって、私らに楽をさせてください。敵に捕まっているだけでも昇進できるくらいがいいですな。
貴様には上司を貶めて憂さを晴らす悪癖があるのだな。
That's a fair point.
私もせいぜい優秀な貴様に見限られないよう努めるとしよう。
はあ、
同志ゼレノフ、私は必ずさらなる高みに立つことを約束しよう。貴様のような有能な人間にふさわしい地位を与えるためにも。
Purely out of altruism, of course. Never actually do I want to get promoted.
軽口によって無用の敵を作ることは避けるべきだ。共に高みを目指す人間にも、私はそれを要求する。
はっ、どこまでもお供します。同志サンダーク少佐。
大尉だ。そう呼ぶのは式典以降にしろ。ロゴフスキー大佐に目をつけられるぞ。
Oh. Yeah, I get that.
失礼しました。言われたそばから面目ないですな。
ところで同志総長、例の仕上げだが。
は、万事問題なく。何事も先んじて制すでしたな、大尉。
では安心だ。機関に席はない。だが、この機は逃せぬのだ。
Right. In a country somewhere. Wow. Just a country.
ご無事で何よりです、ワイマスター。
Of course.
皮肉はやめてくれ。マスターなど柄ではないと言っただろう。
How much you want to bet he's in? I bet you he's in Africa or South America because they're like the two safe havens left. I could see those being places where he'd be able to flourish without very much like attention. Like, especially if he's like on good terms with some of the leaders of those nations.
フランスの消滅を悼む数少ない瞬間がこのシャンパンもどきを飲む時だ。
Where are they?
目的を同じくする者たちの失われた血と魂の総量に見合う十分な成果を得ることはできた。我々はこれより本国へ帰投する。現代復帰までの36時間は休息に当ててほしい。諸君、ご苦労だった。
I like this is great because look at the opulence he's enjoying with like he's champagning with some of his higher ups and trusted advocates. They just happen to be living the exact life that everyone who just literally sacrificed their entire lives to try and like change and upend, they're just part of it. I knew it. I knew this master was the scummiest of scum, was just utilizing them, but I didn't know it was like private jet levels.
はあ、では、殉教者たちに。
You mean to the plebeians?
殉教者たちに。
カリフォルニア産も捨てたものではないな。
ああ。刺激もまろやかで、達成感に浸るには良い刺激だ。
さて、次の作戦はいつになるのですか？
随分と気が早いな。休息も任務の一つだぞ。だが、概要だけは先に伝えておこう。東アジアで、狐狩りだ。
So maybe this is referencing the Yokohama thing.
東アジア。極東ですか？
その通り。バランスは重要だ。いずれかに傾きすぎてはいけないからな。
やれやれ。アジア圏の基地は潜入が面倒です。すでに仕込みを？
いや、次の任務に潜入工作は不要だ。もっと単純で派手な仕掛けで、狐の巣穴を狙い撃つ。
I think that's the crashing shuttle operation.
ああ、なるほど。例の爆薬を使うと。
そのつもりだ。あの地域は最前線だけに、防空システムなど、なきに等しいからな。
それこそ、コースがずれてレーザー属種にでも撃墜されない限りは。
ああ。 実に楽な仕事だ。諸君、我々は全世界に向け、アメリカの横暴とソ連の怠慢を暴露することに成功した。だが、勝利は過去だ。すでに次なる戦いは開始されている。我々は未だ道半ばであることを忘れてはならない。
I can't honestly say I understand what his motives really are. Like, what is he trying to actually accomplish? Like, sure, he might be trying to overturn the status quo and change, you know, like, but does he want new leadership? Does he want to be the leader of the entire world? Like, what does he want?
我々はテロリストどもとは違う。彼らの行いは暴走に過ぎず、世界を変えることはできない。断言しよう。世界を変革するのは我々の闘争のみだと。
Yeah, so he saw them as like a just a very blunt weapon, essentially. He used them, puppeted them, making them feel like they were in charge. But again, that's why he didn't set himself up or put himself on the cameras, because he didn't want the fall to come to him. He wanted to be able to even parade himself now to others, saying like, look, their goals were noble, but they were ineffective because they were just too mindlessly and rampagey. You have to work with me. I can coordinate you, even though he coordinated that.
我らの敵は強大であり、待望の成就にはより緻密にかつ大胆にことを進めねばならない。諸君の一層の奮励を期待する。
了解。
休息か。彼女は休むことを知らない勤勉な女だった。理想を掲げ、夢を追いかけるのは素晴らしいことだ。そうだろう。バレンタイン、天国とやらで幸せになってくれ。もっとも、そんな場所が本当にあれば。
So he talked like he had faith, but he doesn't. So he's like, oh gosh, I can think of several people I immediately think of when I think of this kind of guy. But I can't know for sure. But there's some people, especially those who like publicize themselves, put themselves on television, write tons of books, fly in jets, ask for donations all the time, where it feels like they're running like a church, like a mega corporation rather than actual outreach. I mean, I've worked with and seen people who work in like little like small town like family churches, and you can tell they're like, whether you agree with them or not, they are like genuine. They want to do it for the right reasons. They're pouring almost everything that's extra into like helping their communities. That's the true like believers of any religion. I don't care what it is. Like, that's what it means to be a true believer in something like a faith. It's about, you know, putting like the needs of your congregation and your community first. But then you see the big ones, the people who in the same names and in the same like voices of a sense of holiness or providence or what have you, to enrich themselves well beyond what makes sense. To allocate themselves like just these bounties of wild just so much like just finances and money and pouring in, making it always being more and more and more. I absolutely believe that it must be a shell, because if they genuinely believed what they were professing, they wouldn't need to buy a private jet. They wouldn't need to go on massive hunting trips. They wouldn't need to beg people who are dying of cancer to stop going to chemo so they can donate money to their television evangelists. Like, I mean, you know, I can't say whether or not that's true, but as they might say for the Christian side of things, as by their fruit you shall know them. Just saying. Just saying.
マスター、今何かおっしゃいましたか？
いや、友よ。楽しみにしていてくれ。我らが再び世界の表舞台に立つその日を。
I wonder if we're gonna find out more about the Master in like the sequel that's coming out for the day after. Because we hadn't, as far as I'm aware, we haven't seen anything from him then. So either he just didn't make it, but knowing the Master, how frustrating and annoying he is, I imagine he did. And so if he did, what is he up to after that disaster? Alright, General Headquarters Building, Yukon Army Base. Approximately 10 hours after the recapture of General Headquarters. Oh boy. Kriska, Inya. Both remained unconscious even after admittance to the hospital. I wonder how they're doing now. Have they started to recover yet? Tiny took one heck of a beating too, but thankfully nothing life-threatening, and the rest of Argus got off just as lightly. So many people died yesterday on both sides of the fence. I'm glad we're all still breathing, but I never imagined something like this could happen to the Scarlet Twins.
ヴィンセントは忙しそうにしてんのに、こんなところで暇を持て余してるとは、いいご身分だな。
What? Hey, what the fetch?
ボーニングに連絡して、オーバーホール用の部品を調達か？ま、せっかく司令部区画を奪還しても、この通信統制じゃ、どこもかしこも大変だよな。なんだよ。もうちょっと愛想よくしろよ。随分とご活躍だったじゃねえか。ん？だからってお前、自分が英雄だとか思い上がってんじゃねえぞ。
Even now, he can't just chill for a second?
お前らの戦力だけでテロが鎮圧できたなんて考えてるんだとしたら、随分めでてえ思考回路だよな。
I don't know, Leon. You're gonna bring that up. I might call you out and be like, so where were you the whole time this was going down? Because, you know, yes, we needed you. We needed you like 5 hours before you showed up. Fetch off, Leon. I'm not in the mood to fight today.
俺はテロを許さない。アメリカ国民の安全と財産を守るのが俺の仕事だ。それを犯そうとする奴らには、相応の鉄槌を下す。だからこそ、独善的な考えで動きすぎる奴は許せない。それが俺の生き方だ。
Leon. I know. Weird. I've known Leon for years, but this might actually be the first time we're having a real conversation. Well, that's my fault. Getting all chummy with this guy would have felt the same as throwing away my dignity. He didn't have any ill will. Why would he? What possible reason could someone born into a proud military family, someone who holds his father and grandfather in high esteem, have to treat me for like a charity case? But somehow I couldn't stand the sight of him. The way that he made a point about trying to live up to his family's reputation rubbed me off the wrong way. I went out of my way to be a dick to him, and when in reality it was the sight of myself moping around like a miserable fetch that I couldn't stand. I know.
お前。
There's some times when a man needs to ask for help. Someone once told me I should know my place, that surface pilots are the tip of humanity's spear, and that's the only thing that matters. Lieutenant Colonel Latrova said I was a child, blind to the world around me. The lesson there was simple. When in doubt, take a step back, try to take an objective look at things.
で、それがどうしたんだ?
The point is, she was right on both counts. Now that this crap is over, the lesson's finally sunk in. Could have done more. If I was a better pilot, developed more of a rapport with the guys, or even fixed my crappy personality sooner, maybe we wouldn't have gotten hit so hard. Maybe Kriska and Nina wouldn't have been hurt. She looks so distraught, so vulnerable. It's gonna haunt me forever.
どちらも。ねえ。お前が?
I will. I won't lose sight of the mission or the people I care about. Thousands have died. I killed dozens with my own 2 hands. Kriska and Nina's prognosis is reversed, that I have no way to find out more. I failed completely and utterly. I overstepped and bet against the house, and the house always wins. But for a second there, we were on the same page, and have a feeling Yui's been through something similar before.
多少は変わったかと思えば。たく。てめえ一人過去を卒業した気になるのは勝手だがな。それだけで過去がお前を忘れてくれるとでも思ってんのか? それこそ周りが見えてねえってことなんだよ、バーカ。
Leon, you stupid turd.
おっと。喧嘩する気にはなれねえんだったよな。だったら今日はここまでだ。じゃあな。
It's funny because, like, Leon refuses to see the change in Yuuya. Yuuya has changed. I do think Yuuya hasn't actually confronted, he's run away from his past. I don't think he's actually felt the actual grief and frustration that Leon has experienced because of how he handled himself back then. Yuuya wants to have a fresh start, clean slate, move on. And that's fine. And I think it's good that he's pushing so hard and learning a lot. But Leon has a point, as much as I hate him for it. He's got a point that he probably does need to actually, like, really confront what happened that got him removed from the flights in America. That's a good profile right there.
戦術機も人も10日から2週間はかかるな。計画に遅れが出るが仕方がないだろう。
You know what? 2 weeks is not bad considering.
そうですね。我々に限って言えば、人的被害が出なかったことを喜ぶべきなのでしょう。
しかし、学んだる少尉は本当によく生きていてくれた。幸運の女神が味方したとしか思えんな。
Yeah, I thought she was done. I could not believe she'd made it out of there. It's almost like Yuuya and Kriska were really just toying with her rather than trying to kill her, which is really kind of terrifying if you think about it, because remember, they were on like super murder kill mode, but it was like they were playing with her, like a cat plays with like a mouse. Because I don't know if you've ever seen a cat like hunting mice, but unless they're like in like I need to eat mode, the cat tends to like keep it alive and keeps toying with it, chasing it, letting it run away a little bit so they can pounce on it again. And I almost feel like that's what the Scarlet Twins were doing.
ドール注意。それは？
うん。診断書のコピーだ。要するに、普段からの鍛錬に加え、94セカンドの強化された対峙性能、そして、強化装備の性能のおかげだそうだ。
Ironically, that's a good report for the program.
本来であれば、量産試験段階で行う搭乗者保護能力試験と対破壊試験をまとめて実戦で行ったようなものですから。期待もさることながら、学んだる少尉の生存適性はさすがです。実戦をくぐってきただけのことはあります。
ああ。なぜか自慢していたらしいがな。まったく。いや。確かにそれも大いに貢献したことだろうが。
Yep, I think she's earned it. She's earned the right to brag. Most people wouldn't have made it. She did.
ええ。貴重なデータです。いずれも、兵士を乗せた状態で行えるものではありませんから。生還は、ある種の奇跡と言っていいでしょうね。
Yeah.
奇跡。か。それは、チェルミナートルの、スカーレットツインの戦闘能力を指して言う言葉だ。
They were murder machines.
どうした高村注意。
ああ、いえ。ついチェルミナートルとの戦闘が頭をよぎってしまい。
そうか。疲れが残っているんだろう。それも仕方がないことだ。
申し訳ありません。
それにしても、注意まで現場検証に駆り出されるとはな。機体記録を全部集めて照合すれば済むだろうに。
That is odd, but maybe someone wants her out of base for a bit?
私たちの戦闘で民間に相当の被害が生じていますから。左門もやむを得ません。何か
I think he thinks there's more.
例えば、だが。
はい。
民間人を守るために、部下を死の危険にさらさなければならないとしたら、そのような局面が訪れた場合、君であればどうする？
I'd do it if I could.
私は民間人を守った上で部下も死なせない。今の私は少なくともそのために最大限の努力をするでしょう。その結果、自分を含むいずれが命を落とそうとも。
So the question actually becomes, though, the logistic one. It's like not so much like, oh yeah, because like obviously like civilians are in danger, we go out to fight. Like that's what we do, it's our job. But what if the odds are going south? You're taking beatings, people are like your pilots are going down. They're not dead, but they're like they're on the brink of going down. You're outnumbered, you can't hope to hold out any longer, and then the choices become, do we fight to the last, all of us going down, and maybe by a little more time, but not actually end up being able to save everybody? Or do you pull back, recognizing that you've done all you can do, and allow the civilians to die, but maintain the life of your team? That's, I think, the real challenging question there. Like, where's the tipping point where the lives of the surface pilots and the TSFs are valuable enough, and the fight is clearly too, like, one-sided to justify waiting, like, pushing for the rest? Like, that's a tough call to have to make when it's like, you can't win. Like, when you enter the no-win scenario, what do? Do you, like I said, fight to the last? It's kind of the decision they did make when trying to stop the red shift, but you can also argue that the red shift was such a massive, like, destructive attempt that even running away, I don't think they could have gotten far enough away to live. Not with that much firepower going off and the radiation and everything. I don't think even if they started flying away from the base as fast as possible at that point, if they could have made it far enough to survive. Like, maybe they could have, but I just doubt it. So that makes it a bit muddier. But what if it weren't so cut and dry? What if it was just a beta invasion? And what if the beta were, like, running through the streets of the civilians and you were fighting off as many of them as you could, and you got to that critical point? What do you do?
その結果、自分を含むいずれが命を落とそうとも、私は自らの意志でそれを選びます。
そうか。それが注意が出した答えか。
はい。
自らの命をかければそれが免罪符になる。そう考えているのか。君が死を与える。あるいは、
It's tough because it's
与え
like
てしまった者たちに対しての。
the principle is really sound. It comes back to that, like, a principle of leadership. Like, never a true leader never asks anyone to do something they wouldn't be willing to do themselves. And the idea of her saying, like, look, if I have to be the last one standing to provide an exit strategy for my teammates, I'm going to do it. You know, kind of the same thing as, like, the captain goes down with the ship. The idea that, like, the captain doesn't leave until everyone else has disembarked as a responsibility. But then as at the same time, it's like, what about the value of that captain, that leader? Like when you go to pure calculus of war, somebody who has battlefield experience, command experience, and the talent to back it up might be arguably more valuable than a lot of civilians. But, like, that's a calculation you should never have to make, and if you start making that calculation too much, you soon find yourself willing to just throw civilians as cannon fodder at your problems in order to prevent the, like, a few losses of your soldiers, and that starts feeling like a tyrannical leader rather than like an actual, like, you know, dutiful one who's doing what their position requires. It's weird because, like, you look at big scale, small scale, and you have to try and balance the two. That's tough. Oh, it's actually in Star Wars, Knights of the Republic, they actually do a hypothetical question that's similar to this, and, like, I genuinely, it's interesting because, like, so what do you do? So you're a commander of an army and you're not doing so great. You learn a critical piece, you intercept a critical piece of information that reveals that in 2 weeks' time, the troop movements are going to be adjusted as such that there's going to be a break in their defensive line where you could make a push that could lead to a catastrophic victory, where you could collapse their lines, destroy their supplies, and be able to rout and destroy a force much larger than what you currently have access to, potentially turning the war forever. Like, it could be like the turning point that leads to the ultimate victory. But in that same data packet, you learn that in a week's time, they're going to attack a obscure civilian target. No military personnel. They just seem to be choosing to attack it for, I don't know, shock value. If you try to defend the city, whether overtly or subtly, it'll reveal that you intercepted the information, and it'll spoil the potential victory you could have. So the choice really comes down to, would you be willing to sacrifice a civilian target, keep it a secret, and then make a push as revenge that has, like, every opportunity to be far more impactful in the actual war and could save millions of lives in the future? Or do you save the civilians you know are in danger because that's what you're supposed to do, and sacrifice this potential advantage that you might never see again? And that's really tough because when I was younger, when I was, like, in high school, I would have said you defend the civilians. Like, what's the point? If you're a military leader protecting the nation and you don't protect the nation, what's the point? But now I actually might be aware of the mind on the other side, where it's like, the potential future might be worth that sacrifice, even if it's like the worst possible. Like, only an evil person could make that choice. Sometimes you need to be that evil to make the bigger things work. And it's like, but like, is that right? I don't know.
いえ、そのような甘え、決して許されません。選択の結果はすべて背負い、その影響を被った者たちに恥じぬ者を、時代に残す責を負う。今私は、そのように考えています。
任
務、あるいは命令。いえ、自らの意思以外の何者にもよることなく、決断し、選択する。
That's clever. I like that. She's saying, look, I'm in my position because of what I am. I need to be able to trust that and make those decisions and not be influenced by what people on the outside would say, whether it be the philosophy of the position, the politics. Oops, sorry, I hit the microphone. The politics that got me here, the people whom I serve. All of it really doesn't matter, because in the end, I have to just make that choice and live with it. And I have to make it in a way that I can maintain my dignity whilst doing so. And then accept the consequences that come of it. That's the key. The key a lot of leaders seem unable to do is to stick to their guns to make a decision and accept the consequences, whether they're good or bad.
それが叶ったとき、ようやく次の高みに歩を進めることができる。この事件を経た今、私はそう思います。
そうか。正解を見つけることは難しい。だが、納得のいく答えを見つけることは、それよりははるかにたやすい。
I'm gonna adjust this real quick. I like that. I like how he said, like, hey, I'm not sure if that's the right answer, but if it works, maybe that's enough.
はい。選ぶべき時には、必ず己の席において決断します。
I mean, that's fair. It's kind of him too, because remember, he had to make some really tough calls, and so maybe he's wondering if she would have made similar calls that he did.
高村注意。これからも君の人生には、困難な決断を迫られる場面が必ず訪れるだろう。
はい。
だが、それでも我々は前に進んでいくしかない。戻る道が存在しないからだ。だとすれば、借りを返すべき相手は過去ではなく、未来にいる。
That's really good. That's a good advice right there. What?
忘れないでくれ。
He keeps going. What matters isn't paying back your favors. So like, don't be so hung up on paying back the people whom have helped you or you've helped, or the people who have harmed you or you've harmed. What matters is paying them forward. That is what you should be focusing on, because the thing is, like, the past is unchangeable. It's happened. You can't do anything about it. But you can change the future. And if you can learn from the past and use it to inform the decisions you make in the future, you can make a better future than the past you've left.
はい。ありがとうございます。
That's cool. That was good.
さすがにいつもより混み合っているな。
ええ。それにしても、昨日の今頃は戦っていたのですね。
That's crazy to think about.
うん。だが長かった苦しみも終わってしまえば、わずかな時間の出来事だったように思えるな。
本当に。
では、後ほどまた。
は。
借りを返すべき相手は過去ではなく、未来にいる。
周囲も、すべてを捨てて、ここにいらしていたのでしたね。
Yeah. And unfortunately, he had to confront what he left behind here with Valentine.
Naniによることなく己で選び、それを背負って生きているのでしたね。私は幼すぎた。
You know what? I am too. I think I will be till I'm like, maybe 90.
常にそばにある教えを、それと気づけずにいた。
That's kind of cool.
だが、これからは、行こう。たどり着くべき場所は遥か遠い。だが、諦めることなく歩き続ける。たとえ回り道によって、その道のりが遠のいたとしても、距離だけは確実に縮まり続ける。だから私は、歩み続ける。
Uh-oh.
データを殲滅するため、能力を解放して。
Interesting. He's playing the music score.
コントロールできない。薬物。5歳民の複合使用だ。あらゆる標的を殲滅し続ける。両名が絶命するその瞬間に。
あの件、早急に岩や中佐の耳に入れなければ。
Uh-oh. What the?
私は転んで寝そべっているのか。
What happened?
どうもそのようだな。
Uh-oh.
一体何をしているのだ私は。
What?
このような場所で。
What is happening?
やめてくれ。みっともないからそんなに大騒ぎしないでくれ。大した問題じゃないんだ。なんということだ。まともに力が入らない。思っていた以上に疲れが溜まっていた。
What's with the yelling? What's happening?
なるほど。遠くばかりを見ず、足元を、現実をしっかり見
It
据え
can't
ろという
be beta
話だ。
still, right? Soldier class, maybe?
しかし、どうにも妙だ。腕に力が入らない。
What is
体を起
happening?
こそうにも全く動いてくれない。なんだ
Oh
これ
gosh.
は。
Did she get shot?
なぜ赤いんだ。
Cleaning up. The Soviets are taking out anyone who saw the Scarlet Twins, who know what happened. Oh no.
私のか。
Yuuya too. Yuuya's in trouble.
何をそんなに焦っているのだろう。
Fetch me.
おかしいな。よく聞こえない。もう少し大きな声で言ってもらえれば。もう少し大きな。
Don't go to the light. Don't do it.
高村注意。
Wait, what? No, wait, what? No. That can't be the end. No. No, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like this is like a false flag, right? Like that can't actually be the ending. Because that would be stupid. There's so much more to explore. What the fetch? No. That can't actually be the ending. I thought this was supposed to have like branching narratives. I thought there was supposed to be like a story here. What? Like, I don't believe I don't believe this. Like, this can't be actually real, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. Like, no. You're just trying to trick me, because that doesn't make, it's just, that would be the most unsatisfying ending I've ever seen. If that actually were an ending, I might want to flip the table. Okay. Game over princess. No. I can't act. No.
我が家の姫様がお目覚めになったのかな。
父様だ。
おはよう、ゆい。センナ、予定は変更する。東京には明日の朝一で向かうことにするよ。
では、すぐに夕食のご用意を。久しぶりですわ。この子ったら。
何しろ、すごいはしゃぎようだったからね。高村家は安泰だ。
お祭りだから興奮していたんでしょう。浴衣が駄菓子で汚れてしまってるわ。
ああ。髪についた水飴は、なんとかしてあげないとね。
Nothing a hot bath can't cure.
あなたがいないと大変なんですよ。いつ帰ってくるんだって、毎日そればかりで。ゆいは本当に甘えん坊で、お父さん子なんですから。
この子が大人になる前には、どうにかして、戦争を終わりにしたいものだ。この日常も、いつ終わりを告げるともしれない。この子には、それを悲しい思い出にしてほしくない。
はい。
高村少尉、あなた、これから初陣だって本当に分かっているの？死の8分に直面するのよ。なのにその落ち着きぶり。
She's getting the light flashing before her eyes. I don't like what this is implying.
それは、事前処理を。
私たちだって全員催眠薬物処理は受けたわ。でもね、どうしても思考はそこに向いてしまう。まったく、あなたと来たら本当に不大武家の。
うんうん。それは関係ないと思う。私たちは近衛よ。皇帝陛下と将軍殿下。そして、民のために戦うの。そこに不代も戸様もないわ。それを私に教えてくれたのは山城さんでしょ。不代、戸様など関係ない。己を磨いた者が勝つ。違う？
ええ。自分の言葉には責任を取る必要があるわね。
そうね。
This is all from that. They have a whole thing out now of this. Oh, oh, cool. Oh no. Oh, young Yuuya, short hair.
くどいぞ。貴様、先の京都防衛に参加していたのだったな。
は、嵐山仮設補給基地の指示を命じられておりました。が、私を除き、部隊は全滅。未熟だった私は、
帝都の陥落を。指を。
そうか。その気持ち、察するにあまりある。私は当時、東京にいた。出撃命令が出た時には、全てが終わっていてな。何もできなかった。何も。その後、闘神を続けるベータに対する迎撃作戦が発動した時は、ここぞとばかりに血をたぎらせたものだ。だが、私が命じられたのは、玉川絶対防衛戦の死守。結果から言えば、そこは最前線となった。だがその当時、ベータがそこまで進行することなど想定されていなかった。
She's saying like, look, even if you don't like your position, things are going bad, and there's a good chance you'll be on the front lines. It just won't be when we are.
そうでありましたか。その大変なご無礼を。
高村。次期高村家当主を前線に送り出すことまかりならんというお達しが出た。そんな、なぜ？今、私に言えるのはここまでだ。
I think they knew about the G-bomb. I think they were like, their backs were against the wall. They were about to be driven completely from their homeland. They were like, all right, look, here's the thing. We either have to take this our way, or we have to use the G-bomb, and everyone's gonna die who's in the area. So it's like, keep her away. We need at least one of us to be around. But she doesn't know that. And there it is. G elements, bending the lasers, preventing them from taking it out.
覚悟しろ、異世紀原子ども。生きて日本を出られると思うな。
今や我が国にとって兵士も正面装備も貴重だ。見殺しにはできない。
京子様。
我ら近衛、戦場においては常に先陣にあり、退く際にはしんがりを務む。何よゆい、その顔。あなたがそこを動けば、出雲攻略部隊は攻撃され、全追討部隊の兵站が断たれる。分かっているわね。
分かっています。
帝国を頼んだわよ。
なりません。増援到来まで何卒この絵の矜持お示しください。
任せておけ。
京子様。
高村中尉。貴様の戦術機に対する知識と技能、そして国産機にかけるその思いを見込んで特別任務を与える。
So despite her best efforts, her whole career has been feeling like she keeps getting sidelined, sidelined, sidelined. Backline, backline, retreat supply lines, and now research.
特別任務でありますか？
そうだ。貴様にはアラスカへ飛んでもらう。
How frustrating.
演習ごっこだと。テストパイロットが命を懸けて繰り返す実証試験や演習をごっこ呼ばわりですか？だったら自国開発にこだわった挙句、結局他国にすがって小手先の技術で機体回収を済ませようとすることはごっこ遊びじゃないとでも。
Yuuya.
この野郎、ふざけんな
He's not his deep voice, but the way he read that line just made me think of Kiryu from Yakuza. Yuuya.
念のために確認するが、俺と打ち解けたかったのか？
だから、今私が失いたくないもの。それは、知らぬ新潟と、そのメインテストパイロットである貴様なのだ。
とにかく、よくやったぞ、アルバソは。初陣にしては上出来だ。
I wonder when she started falling for him. Like, it feels like they went from such bitter enemies to like her suddenly being like fully engaged in her like infatuation. I just like I want like it's never very clear when that transition actually happened.
それはこっちのセリフだっての。見てたろ。あんたが手掛けたレールガンがみんなを救ったんだ。日本人も。結構やるじゃねえか。
Aww.
私のことはユイと呼んでいいぞ。
ご紹介しましょう。日本帝国の新たなる刃 XFJ-01A シラルイセカンドフェーズ2です。
これは肉じゃがといって、日本の伝統的な家庭料理なんだ。
It's funny because Nikujaga, I want to try it. It's actually come up in other like media I've watched recently. It sounds really good, but it's also like, it's a fairly standard stew. It's probably not too different from what I grew up eating. But still, might be fun to try just to see if there's like the different spices and palettes and everything.
あんたみたいな名家のお姫様に理解できるかしら。存在するだけで疎まれる者が生きる世界を。
民間人を守るために部下を死の危険にさらさなければならないとした。
Because he's asking.
そのような局面が訪れた場合、
I kind of thought about this, but again,
君であればどうする?
He's also relating it to his story because he literally sacrificed his entire squad to save civilians. That's why the refugees like praised him, but he was probably dressed down, called an idiot for sacrificing the TSFs and the pilots who were incredibly valuable. And part of why he got his demotion and got sent to a different like area is like because of that choice. And he's kind of always wrestled and wondered like, did he do the right thing?
私は民間人を守った上で部下も死なせない。今の私は少なくともそのために最大限の努力をするでしょう。その結果、自分を含むいずれが命を落とそうとも。
Yuuya. Pull through for him! Pull through for him! September 23rd, 2001. Yeah, I bet you, yeah. Is it true? Yuuya was shot.
お前、病院行ってたんじゃ。
That can wait. How is she?
はい。現在緊急手術中とのことです。
Oh, fetch. I'm glad it's still going. Where? I dropped the medical center, but Yuuya wasn't there. Are you sure it wasn't some kind of mistake?
注意は、フェアバンクスに緊急搬送された。
Oh, no. Fairbank? Why was she sent there? We have a state-of-the-art hospital here in Yukon.
テロリストの残党は、高村注意を狙ったようなの。誰でもよかったんじゃなくて、高村注意を狙撃したのよ。
It was not the terrorists, it was the Russians. Because again, I was also thinking about like, they might be coming for Yuuya next, and they might. But here's the thing. I don't know that because it, like, Yuuya saw that she went crazy, right? The Scarlet Twins went crazy. But it was Yuuya who talked to them, who understood, like, it was programming, what it was capable of, and how Sendek was involved. She learned stuff that she shouldn't know. So I think that was the cleanup that that Sendek talked about with the newly promoted guy, is a false flag assassination attempt to prevent any possible leak of that information. An assassination attempt.
だからこの基地は危険と判断して外に搬送したのよ。
That's fair.
テロ鎮圧の中心人物だったことが気づかれたんじゃないかと見てる。異種返しされたんだ。支援で勝手な行動を取る奴らが出ても不思議はない。
Convenient. Also, by the way, happy to see you're still alive, Miss really cute like command lady. I was actually really worried about you.
くそ、どうしてそのことに気づかなかったんだ。
So how is she? It's nothing. It's nothing life-threatening, right? It's emergency surgery. Yes, it's life-threatening.
外部との通信はごく一部のセクションに限られています。それも検閲が行われる限界態勢です。
この基地の中にテロリストがまだ潜んでる可能性は十分にあるからな。
Son of a B!
おい、落ち着けって。
Hang on. Where's the commander? He might know where we can get some information.
旦那はまだ事情聴取から戻ってねえよ。
Gosh darn it! What the heck's taking him so long? It's been hours! For fetch's sake, how did this happen? How did any of you guys know exactly how it went down?
テオドラキス伍長が現場の近くにいました。
That's right. I haven't seen her anywhere.
事情聴取のため出頭しています。
Oh my gosh.
通信がまともに回復してねえもんだから、無駄足が多くて、 効率が悪いったらねえぜ。
Ugh.
課長によれば、所用を終えて司令部に戻る途中、正門前が騒がしいことに気づいて。
Oh, and the doll too? I wonder if the doll was meant to lure her out there. Like, it seems oddly convenient that it was there, and that's when she got shot.
駆け寄ってみると、高村注意が倒れていて、ドール注意に。
So she saw what kind of condition Yuuya was in. What did she say?
それは、
Oh boy.
言わせるなよ。少しは気遣ってやれ。この子は英士じゃねえんだぞ。
ゆうやの気持ちはわかるけど、今はとにかく誰も詳しいことを知らない状況なの。
He's a man of action. He's about to jump into his Shiranui and fly over to the Fairbanks.
待ちましょう。開発主任の状況が何も入ってこないということはないと思うから。
けど、ただ待ってたってしょうがない。
ねえ、私たちだけで後始末をしないとね。ローウェル軍曹はすでにハンガーに詰めて動いているわ。
It's gonna be so hard to do anything else, but I kind of agree.
XFJ 計画はまだ継続中よ。一刻も早く立て直さないと、隊長にも高村中尉にも申し訳が立たないわ。
ところで、タリサにはまだ言うなよ。あいつだって大怪我してんだ。余計な心配かけないようにしようぜ。
Cool. Great. Yeah.
それじゃあな。
They're just leaving, huh?
ブリッジス少尉。
I'm fine. No need to worry about me. I'll be okay. Stella's right. Anyway, there's no rest for the wicked. Lieutenant Takamura will pull through. She's a samurai. Did I ever tell you about the insane crap she did with Kamchatka? She took on a tank class without a TSF. Wouldn't count a bad A like her out just yet. Well, time to work. Guess I'll pay Vincent a visit, check on Shiranui second while I'm at it, but I gotta wonder if Teresa's Unit 2 could even be salvaged. I apologize for what I said earlier. I tend to forget how desensitized to death we surface pilots have become. It's been an awful day for you, too. And seriously, I'm glad to see you guys are safe.
お気遣いありがとうございます。
I agree. Later.
ブリッジ少尉、なんだか、また変わりましたね。
Yeah.
それだけ長い一日だった。
そうですね。未だに信じられない。私たちが閉じ込められてる間に、アラスカが消滅するかもしれなかったなんて。
Yeah. And how are people gonna feel now that they've relocated their whole lives to essentially a giant bomb?
二人とも運が良かった。本当に。
故郷にいた時だって。
Oh, man.
そこまで間近にベータが来たことなんてなかった。
That's the thing, we always forget, like, if you send isolated pictures of beta to people, like, it doesn't communicate the horror. Like, they look goofy, they look weird, they look disconcerting, and you can definitely see, like, ugh, like, I don't like that, like, it gives you the heebie-jeebies, but, like, the idea of, like, just how big they are, how fast they are, how ruthless they are, it's, like, it's a whole other thing. It's the same thing with, like, Titans and Attack on Titan. It's, like, they look so derpy until you see them, like, picking up and eating people. Like, then you're like, oh, that's horrifying.
もう絶対死ぬんだって。先輩も、私も、おかしくなりそうだった。
よく頑張った。市民の前ではあなたも軍人だもの。
Dang.
取り乱さなかったのは立派。
Yeah, like, the fact you're standing here and that you apparently helped civilians, that's amazing.
なのに、さっきの少尉、死に鈍感って、少尉だって、ついこの間実戦経験したばっかりじゃないですか。
Yeah.
戻ったら、その気持ちであの子を支えてあげて。自分を責めているから。
Okay, we're gonna end here. Thank goodness it's not over. Holy crap, I was legitimately getting mad. Like, I don't get mad super easily, and I'll sometimes say that people are making me mad, but it's usually in this, like, juxtaposition of, like, I'm mad, but I'm loving it at the same time, you know? But that one, like, when those title scrolls were going, I was I was going to be very, very upset. I don't know if I would have even left it in the recording. I might have flipped my lid. So I'm sure you all loved it, because you animals, but it's okay. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So we're going to stop here. Thank you so much for being here today. I mean, here's the thing. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a chillax. Like, let's look at all the damages. Let's see who made it through. You know, like nail biting, but still in this kind of like, I can breathe way. And then they had to do that. And I'm absolutely convinced it was Sandek and the Russians, because we saw that scene, and I understand the motivation. You cannot allow this project to leak. He was willing to sacrifice their information, his staff, himself, to prevent it from happening. And so, of course, even if he likes, like, Yuuya as respects her and likes her as a commander, as a leader, especially for how young she is and the fact that they work together, I absolutely believe with all my heart that he ordered her assassination, and they tried to make sure that it couldn't possibly be, you know, traced back to him, uses the convenience and the timing, like he said, of a very post-traumatic event to kind of have a good, easy scapegoat, but it absolutely was him. Like, he ordered it, at least. And I have no doubt of that. Oh, it's gonna get spicy. So yeah, thank you. I think we're in the final phase of the game. We're gonna see how this all plays out and see where it takes us. So hopefully it's gonna be interesting. I'm also like, I'm hoping I'm right. I don't know if I know TSS well enough, but like, based on the look of the new like Terminator, like Terminator 2.0, I do think it's incorporating parts of like the Takuma Kazuchi. And to just think about that, the idea of the Scarlet Twins and a Takuma Kazuchi, it's literally like this universe's perfect weapon, and it's horrifying, but also kind of cool. I kind of want to see it, but I'm also terrified because I have a feeling that we're going to be in the crosshairs of it if we do see it, and that's horrifying. So, yeah. We'll have to see. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel, especially to my patrons and members. You all give me the best Christmas ever. Being able to continue supporting the channel like you are, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to any of the new people who are joining us. Hopefully this stuff is to your liking. Of course, we're pretty far into a series to expect a whole lot of new people finding this, but still, if you're newer to the channel, thank you. It really means the world to me. I hope you all continue to enjoy and continue to have stuff that brings you back to the channel often, because that's my goal. I want to continue sharing these stories and adventures. So until next video, watching me, if you see me in next, I'll see you there.